Hello again. It is Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit. Talking sprint car racing, our favorite time of the week. And we are so glad that you have joined us. Steve Post in our Concord, North Carolina studios, flying solo this week. But we have got a lot of ground to cover here. Blake Hahn, the current point leader for the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour, joins us. Always enjoy chatting with Blake, and look forward to chatting with him here today on Wing Nation. We are glad that you have joined us. Let's do this. As we always do, let's start with a lap around the sprint car world, and let's start in turn number one. Rico Abreu. What a weekend he put together this past weekend, and Rico's story's fascinating. 30-year-old racer from out in California, ran the Midget Series, won the championship in 2014, won 2015 and 2016 Chili Bowls, made the move to NASCAR, picked up a win in the K&N Series at Columbus, Ohio. The NASCAR thing kind of fizzled out, and back to sprint car racing, and he has been a dynamo ever since. Now, when we look at the 2022 season, Rico Abreu has added crew chief Ricky Warner. Ricky Warner, crew chief for Donnie Schatz, for all of their success. And they have really picked up the steam. Back in June, they won a Pennsylvania Speed Week race at Grandview. July, it was with the All-Stars at Knoxville. In August, won at Knoxville in the Hard Knocks race. September, they picked up a win with the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars at Eldora. It was his 9th career win, but it snapped a 4-year-long winning streak. Why we're talking about Rico? Because last weekend, King of the West Series out in California, he owned it all. The Anthony Simone Classic, $10,000. Anthony was known as Mr. Excitement, but the last 15 laps of this race were exciting as well. Rico Abreu picked up the win, and he came right back Saturday night with the Dennis Roth Classic, that is, at Tulare, and picked up another $8,300. Rico Abreu dialing it up well and going to stay out on the West Coast because this weekend is Trophy Cup. That's turn number one. Let's go to turn number two. On Saturday night, Lakeside Speedway in Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City, Kansas. I always get the two crossed up. Kansas City, Kansas. World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars. And what a race they had there at Lakeside with James McFadden picking up the win. Now, it is James' 5th career World of Outlaw wins. He has had a great season, 4 second-place finishes, and 10 times James has been on the podium. So he has been so good this season, but not getting to victory lane. His last win on the tour was in September of last year, so it was 81 races since James McFadden had won with the World of Outlaws. Well, he checked that winless streak off by leading the last 11 laps at Lakeside Speedway and scored the victory. Now, what makes this even more special for James and for everyone else is who he's driving for. Dennis and Teresa Roth, the iconic number 83 car, who ironically, they were having the Dennis Roth Classic out at Tulare the same night. James, driving the World of Outlaw cars for Dennis, picked up the win, and it is the 99th win for Dennis and Teresa Roth as team owners, the team they founded back in 1992. 15 drivers have won driving that iconic number 83 car. Danny Lasowski leads the list with 41 wins, but it is a who's who Hall of Fame list of drivers who have won in the Roth Motorsports car. Dennis Roth was inducted into the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum Sprint Car Hall of Fame in 2022, and so the Hall of Fame team owner picked up win number 99 with James McFadden at the wheel. Stay with us. When we come back, Blake Hahn. Sage Fruit is a premium grower, packer, and shipper of Washington tree fruit. Apples, pears, and cherries, and it's always an exceptional eating experience, and they're grown in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Not only is their produce healthy, but they are grown with such care and precision that you can count on each piece of fruit having exceptional flavor. High-quality fruit, exceptional flavor, healthy snacking. Make sure when you go to your local grocery store, ask for Sage Fruit. Sage Fruit, it's our first choice for quick and easy snacking. Welcome back. It is Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit. Let's go to the Hercules Tire Hotline. Joining us fresh off from a couple trips to Victory Lane down at the famed Devil's Bowl with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour is Blake Hahn. Hello, Blake. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. Just getting geared up for another busy week here.
Yeah, I know. Man, one week leads right to the other, that's for sure. Blake, I want to talk a little bit about Devil's Bowl, but I do want to kind of go big picture stuff. When we look at your 2022 season, you're looking for, and you're in pretty good shape for your second consecutive National Tour Championship. You still got some work to do there. We're not crowning you yet, but 4 wins, 19 top fives, 27 top tens. Kind of assess how you felt your season has been.
Well, I'm sure, like you ask anybody, there's room for improvement for the whole year, but in the big picture, it's been a pretty good year. We've had a bunch of success, but we want more wins too. So we've got a pretty busy month, so we can knock off some wins in the last couple of weeks, and really we've had some really good runs. We had some good top fives, like you said, plenty of top tens, and mainly that's what helps us win championships is just being consistent. So overall, we're pretty happy with it, just being as consistent as we can be. But like I said, there's always so much more room for improvement, and we felt like we picked up a lot of speed over the last month or so. And there's a couple of things on the car we've tried, and I feel like it's really picked up in speed the last couple of months.
When you have situations like that, Blake, where you pick up speed, is it an aha thing, or is it a little couple of things you guys have found? How does that work?
Well, honestly, we just went back to our notebook. Last year we picked up a bunch of wins, and we felt like we had some really good speed. And looked back at the notebook, and there was just a couple of things that we just, some reason just got off of. And, got back to those things and felt like we picked up some speed. And once you get a little bit of speed, it turns the whole team momentum around. We feel like we had a good car to compete for wins night in, night out. So just rolling into the racetrack, feeling that much more happier and confident with the car makes a world of difference. And pick up a win here and there, you feel like you're the guy to beat. And going to this weekend, I felt like maybe we treated it with that kind of attitude. Just going in there feeling like we do have the car to beat every time we go to the track. And I really wanted to pick up the win at Devil's Bowl. And with the talks of Devil's Bowl closing soon, I didn't know if this was going to be our last chance to do it. So we really had we had a little bit of boost in our steps. So we really wanted to win. And Dalton, my crew chief, had the car really good Friday night, and everything worked out, being able to start in the front row. And anytime you can get clean air makes a world of difference. So we were happy to get a good run at the beginning of the first of the weekends. So anytime we can be on the podium is a good night for the points championship. So we were happy with that on Friday, and man, Saturday we were able to back it up again. So it was a pretty unbelievable weekend for us.
Saturday night's race, it fascinates me, and this kind of goes to dirt track racing 101 a lot of times. Chase Randall out there leading the race. Boy, Saturday night looked to me like, Blake, one of those nights where being second might have been the best place to be. Was that indeed kind of the way it played to your favor?
I'd say so. It seems like a lot of the time, being in the lead, you maybe can run the race a little bit more. You own the race. So last night or Saturday night was a little bit different for everyone. It seemed like lap traffic played a big role for everybody. We got to lap traffic probably halfway through that race, and it started getting pretty racy with Sam in second and myself in third. And I knew that Chase was really good in open air, and I really didn't feel that confident with our car. We were pretty decent, just didn't have a lot of good speed through the center. And I knew Chase was really good early, so I knew it was going to be hard to beat him if we didn't get to lap traffic. And we got racing there, and we got by Sam and got into the second position, and had a couple cautions towards the end. And Chase really jumped away from us on those cautions, and I tried to make sure we hit our marks there the last few laps. And with the lap traffic coming in there, and I saw Chase running the whole race, and he was very good on the bottom, pretty dominant on the bottom. And it seemed to me like I knew he wasn't going to get off the bottom with how good he was going. So with those lap cars coming there, I really didn't have a whole lot to lose compared to him. So I just went up to the top, and really I had the whole lane open for me. So the deal with being in second and not knowing to go to the bottom and not being forced to go to the bottom was the thing that made it for us.
No doubt, it really truly is. You mentioned Devil's Bowl, 13th different racetrack that you have won at. The Devil's Bowl's been ran by Lanny and Beverly Edwards forever. The Edwards family, the Hahn family, your grandfather partnered up to the Chili Bowl. The story here is the family history is so intertwined with you and the Edwards. Of course, Lanny and Beverly no longer with us. This was their memorial race. Had to be some pretty neat emotions for you, Blake, to put a Hahn in victory lane at the Edwards racetrack.
Yeah, it was for me for sure. It's one of those racetracks that that's one of those tracks I've been going to since I was a kid. I'd go down there just to watch the ASCS cars, and that's one of those tracks that, man, you really get a taste of the speed that the cars have. So growing up at the track, I feel like I had a good connection, and like you said, being such good friends with their family and growing up with them, it's really neat to be able to go there. They treat us good when we go there, and it's just fun. We get to see our friends down in Dallas that we don't get to see all the time. So it's a good opportunity to go see everybody. And, um, you know, uh, it's interesting to go see those guys. And we're able to go spend time with our friends and family, really. And it's enjoyable. And I feel like we've had some really good runs there, just not able to pick up the win. And really to be able to finish out the season there for them to pick up 2 back-to-back wins is awesome for us. And something you hit on there. It's our 13th track to win on, and that's something neat. That's Laney's number, so it's pretty cool to be able to connect him in that way too. So it's a pretty neat deal, and it's really pretty cool to have our friends and family there for this weekend.
Wow, I didn't realize. I forgot about that Lanny connection with the number, that's for sure. Blake, let's talk a little further about this. We don't know the future of Devil's Bowl. There is some talk that this might be the end. There's also some speculation that there might be another year left in the old racetrack. We don't really know. There's a lot going on down there. A couple of weeks ago, you guys were at I30, where it is the end of the line for that. And you're such an integral part. Your family's such an integral part of 360 racing and those two racetracks. Gotta be just a little bit painful to see this happening with some of your favorite racetracks.
Yeah, with I30 closing down, that was a pretty emotional weekend for us. There's just probably a handful of tracks that I've been able to run my micro, midget, and my sprint car at, and I30 is one of them. And being able to have the success we've had in all those classes is something that we're really proud of. Like you said, there's a lot of history with ASCS and I30, and then with Devil's Bowl too. So just to be able to go there and have the success that we've had, and to be able to pick up the wins at short track nationals is something I really could never dream of, and to let alone win 3 of them. So we're glad to be able to have our name on the list of winners at Devil's Bowl and I30, and just fortunate to be able to race there as often as we have.
We've talked a little bit about the family history, the Edwards family and the Hahn family. Your grandfather, Emmett Hahn, a Sprint Car Hall of Famer, one of the all-time great. If there's a Mount Rushmore of promoters of sprint car racing, your grandfather is on the Mount Rushmore. 2022 was a different season for him. He has sold ASCS, the national tour that he built. How's your grandfather doing, and how's it been for him? How do you assume it's been for him, kind of sitting back and watching this thing go on?
Well, I think it's probably a lot more relaxing for him. There's not near as much stress and not as much stuff going on. So he's been able to enjoy golfing a little bit more. And, when the weekends come up, he's not stressing on making the business calls. He can actually enjoy being a car owner a little bit more. So I'm sure he's happy with the year that we've had. I know he's proud of us being able to pick up our wins last weekend. It was a big weekend for all of our family to be able to win a Devil's Bowl. So I know he's happy about that. But really, he's been doing good, just staying busy and just trying to have some fun with everything.
Blake, I've never seen anything that would lead me to believe with your grandfather owning the series and you racing in it. But the reality of it is, you've heard it. It's been out there. There's been spec. It has had to be an interesting year for you as well, racing in the series and not having that scenario there. What's that been like for you?
It's been neat. It's been unique, really. Unique as in different, I guess. Unique would be your grandpa running the series that you race, I
Yeah,
guess. But
sure.
for me, that's just normal. So, this year's been cool. Terry Maddox has taken over the series, and he's done a great job. He's around my age too, so it's really cool to see somebody take over something and really run with it. So, there's been a few changes throughout the year with the rules from last year from this year, and I think there's been some good stuff changing. So to see the stuff that he's done and how everything's worked out, it's been cool. But typically the last few years I've been running up and down the road with my cousin being the director, so it's been a little different to be with them and without them, and not being able to go up and down the road with them. But they were actually able to go to the races last weekend, and it's a lot better to be able to have your cousins there as fans rather than working with you as the director. So it's been good, but it's a lot different, and we've been really enjoying it a lot. And, it's really been good, and hopefully we can carry on next year.
Yeah, I love what your family has done, and I kind of like this situation with everyone now as fans, and your grandfather just being part of the ownership group and that sort of thing, just unweaving some of those tentacles as well. We mentioned family. You have, I believe, about a 6 month old baby girl. Seeing a lot of pictures of her at the racetrack, as well as your wife. Lennox is your baby, your wife Sierra. Has to be a neat time for you as well, Blake, as you juggle the role race car driver and dad.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's been busy and it's been tough, but like I was telling you earlier, they've been able to go to the races with us pretty much every weekend. So, really as a dad, it doesn't get any better than that. Being able to go see them at the end of the night, it just really makes a bad night into a good night. So, to be able to have them traveling with us and making memories is really what it's all about. That's the stuff I remember growing up as a kid, is traveling with my family and going and doing all this stuff. So, we're very fortunate to be able to travel the country and see a bunch of awesome stuff, and to be able to do it with my whole family is awesome. And I love growing up the racetrack, and hopefully she does too. And who knows, we might have a little racer under us too.
There we go. You never know if she's part of the family. She is a racer. I'm fairly confident of that as far as that goes. I want to go back to one ASCS question. You talked about Terry Maddox and changes. One of the changes this year has been the introduction of qualifying. Previously, it had been done draw and passing points. What has it been like, and what's kind of your take on getting a chance to qualify and do time trials, Blake?
I really think it's benefited us as a team. Honestly, there's nights where we would draw bad and we would really be hindered by the heat race starting position. And this year we could get a bad draw, and we can dig ourselves out of that hole with just doing our heat race qualifying. And it makes it a lot more fair rather than a huge group qualifying. You just race against the guys in your heat race for qualifying. And, I think it makes it where you can line up the heat race a little bit better and put a race on for the fans when it comes down to heat race time.
Yeah, yeah. The qualifying structure is very similar to the All Stars, where each heat is divided up, and you qualify just against those guys. So, some guy going out early and some guy going out late in the night, you're really just competing against that smaller group. And I tend to think that that's been a pretty way of going as far as that goes. So here we are. We're sitting here. We're midway through October. How are things as far as off-season planning goes? Tulsa Shootout, Chili Bowl, and even looking forward to next year. Do you have any insight as to where things are headed and where you're going here, Blake?
Yeah, it'll be pretty exciting for us. It'll be a new change of pace, but first off, we'll of course get our family-owned Toyota Bullet car ready for Chili Bowl and go racing that, and hopefully have another good year. We've had some good runs at Chili Bowl, and every time we go there, we look forward to it. And our goal is now is to always make the A feature on Saturday. We've made it the last couple of years, so we're starting to expect that from it. So we're looking forward to getting some midget racing in, and next year we're going to try to hit it hard. We're going to go try to run some more 410 stuff, and we're not going to run for points. We're going to kind of bounce around and try to run some stuff, try to run the 410 more often, try to get some more seat time with the All-Stars and then the Outlaws, and just some local stuff here and there, and try to fill in the gap with the 360 stuff. And the plan is right now is we're actually going to try to put a Silver Crown car together and just hit a couple of races of that next year too. So we figured if we're going to do it, we might as well, and just have some fun with it too, with the whole family.
Wow, man, that is exciting. That is for sure. What's the what do you and you've ran, I think, 7 or 8 410 races this year. Is there significant? I mean, obviously the engines and all of that, but has it been significantly different for you, or do you have a pretty good comfort level when you jump in the 410?
Man, this year's been wonderful for us. I feel so much more comfortable in my 410 than I did last year. We've only ran it probably 4 or 5 times last year, and probably 6 or so this year, like you said. And I just feel so much more comfortable this year. We were able to go to Knoxville, and we ran the Knoxville Nationals for the first time. And obviously not didn't do as well as we wanted to, but we were able to have some really good runs and pick up some good speed, and it gave us some good confidence. And we were able to go run some Power Eye 410 races up at Lake Ozark early in the year, and we picked up some podiums. And I spoke on it earlier. Anytime you can have some good runs, it really boosts the team. So it really got us looking forward to running it more. And we feel like we can go out there and learn anytime we go touch the track. So it'll be fun for next year, and we're really looking forward to it.
And it all wraps up with the ASCS Tour with a race going to tribute your grandmother, Fuzzy's Fall Fling, coming up at Creek County Speedway at Sapulpa. And look forward to seeing how you guys wrap up the season. Blake, it is always a thrill to catch up with you, whether it's at the racetrack or here on the program. Thanks for joining us here on Wing Nation.
Thank you, guys. We sure appreciate it.
There we go. That is Blake Hahn joining us on the Hercules Tires Hotline. Stay with us. More Wing Nation in just a moment.
Power isn't born, it's built over time. For over 65 years, Hercules Tires has been providing the muscle to move more drivers, whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, and we back it with a powerful protection plan. So wherever the road or the trail takes you, we have the selection, value, and strength to get you there. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Welcome back. It is Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit. Love that we had a chance to catch up with Blake Hahn on the Hercules Tire Hotline, and he is quite the shoe, that is for sure. Always fun. I had a chance to catch him in the pit area at Lakeside earlier this year, and just really cherish the time I get to spend with Blake Hahn, and so glad that he joined us here, looking to go back-to-back with Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour Championships. Before we talked to Blake, we were doing a lap around the sprint car world. Let's continue with that lap at this point. This Saturday night, the National Open. Now, this is postponed from earlier this month. The National Open is the big World of Outlaw finale of the season up at Williams Grove and in Pennsylvania. This is the 60th running of the Champion Racing Oil National Open. The prize, $75,000 to win for the 40-lap feature. Now, this race, 60-year history, and I love the history of this race. 1963, the first time this event was run, and Gordon Johncock picked up the win. Gordon would go on to be a two-time Indy 500 champion, and when Gordon showed up at Williams Grove, he had some kind of contraption on the top of the car that looked like a wing. Yeah, remember, 1963, it was non-wing sprint car racing, but Gordon Johncock put a fin on the top of the car and scored the win. The history of this race is really amazing when you look at it. 1971, Kenny Weld picked up the first of 3 wins driving for the iconic team owner up in Pennsylvania, Bob Weichert, that number 29 car. Fast forward to 1983, Lynn Paxton picks up the win. It's his second consecutive win in the National Open. Lynn stands in victory lane and says, bye-bye. Retired, shocked the sprint car world. He retired in victory lane from winning the National Open at Williams Grove. 1984, the very next year, it was again Bob Weichert on a 3-race run, this time with the Hall of Famer Doug Wolfgang driving that famous number 29 car. 2000, Donnie Schatz picked up his first win of 6 wins in the National Open. 2013, what a memory that is. Fred Raymer, in his final season, had never cashed the big check. The National Open, he did in one of his final races. And last year, it was Carson Macedo picking up the biggest win of his career. We mentioned Donnie Schatz, a 6-time winner of this race. Steve Kinzer, Lance Deweese, Kenny Welder, 4-time winners. And Doug Wolfgang, Steve Smith, and Stevie Smith, his son, are 3-time winners. We'll see who can add to that list this weekend at Williams Grove. Dirt Vision has all of the racing action Saturday night from the historic Williams Grove Speedway. And turn number 4, another great racetrack in the Northeast, Bridgeport Speedway. Now, Bridgeport Speedway over in New Jersey, not that far from the city of Philadelphia, just across the river, if you will. You can sit there and watch the planes take off from Philadelphia International Airport all evening long. This track was built in 1972, and folks, this was a monster 5/8 mile racetrack. The first winner at the racetrack was Kenny Brightbill. World of Outlaws ran there 7 times between 1982 and 1995. And in 2019, Doug Rose decided to purchase the racetrack, and he decided that the 5/8 mile track was too big. He downsized the racetrack, and in 2020, it was a state-of-the-art 4/10 mile dirt track, and it has wowed everybody since. It's called the Kingdom of Speed. World of Outlaws have raced there the last couple of years. Logan Schuchart and Sheldon Haudenschild has picked up the win, and next weekend, love this, Sprinttoberfest. 410 sprint cars, 360 sprint cars, USAC East Coast sprint cars, all on the docket, and the headliner is $15,000 to win for the 410s on Sunday afternoon. So